Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer California, Los Angeles, to be pseudo-specific. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Thursday, October 9th, 2025, and you have found right here the TNAM Daily Show. What does TNAM stand for? It stands for Nimbus. TNAM. Whoa! The mighty nibbling. No, the nibbling. Whatever. Nimbus. This is my cat. This is the show. And we're going to talk about the news. We're a bunch of trash pandas over here. We'll put Trash Panda on the screen there. We had a back and forth one day on one of the shows and said it's like a trash panda rifling through the rubbish. And he made a graphic with a panda in the rubbish. I said, no, it's actually raccoons. And that's what raccoons do. Raccoons dig through the trash and kind of sift through what's there, separating food from garbage. We're trying to figure out fake news and facts. And that's why we're here. I don't think Nimbus is hungry. He is scritching his face on the corner of this computer. That's what raccoons do. In a I mean, he's probably shaking the computer. I would imagine. I mean, he's having a good day. He had a big breakfast. So today what we want to talk about is the Palisades arsonist who was arrested. We also want to discuss Israel, Hamas, a peace plan, hostage release. Where are we at with this? We're close to something good, I think. We've sort of announced good things. Is it confirmed? What's it look like? And also Antifa terrorists are facing justice. Plus our government is still shut down. I ran into an issue with it today. So to say it impacts nobody is wrong. I've had a lingering annoyance with the department. And now it's held up because of the funding lapse. So it's definitely impacted me, so we can discuss that. And whatever else tumbles out of the garbage can once we get things started. So let's launch the show and get it on the ground as Nimbus slides my computer. Do you see me slide off screen? He is purring and he is scritching his head. He's leaving his scent on the corner of the computer. He's having a grand old time, and we're all going to have a grand old time on today's show. So let's get it started right now.
Guide to the Truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. That includes Nimbus, who is purring up a storm. Yes, having a great morning. All right. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, please click on the share button and text a friend or put it up on, I don't know, Facebook and be like, hey, we're covering the news today. Subscribe to the show. Tell your friends, please. Send a couple text messages out. Let's see where we're at on YouTube. We are trying to activate having advertisements on the channel again. They took that away a while ago. So let's see what it's showing us today for the overview. All right, we're kind of stuck here at 499 hours. We need to get 499 extra hours of content watched, and then we can enable our advertisements on the YouTube channel again, hoping that some of these changes will spark changes in the algorithm that will let our shows start getting tens of thousands of views like we used to, instead of what it is currently, which is heavily shadow banned and censored. But if you found the show and you're hanging out, we appreciate you, because you're a part of the relaunching, the rebuilding, the rebranding, the new endeavors of the same old plan. And what is the same old plan? It's just to find out what's really happening, who, what, where, when, why. It's mainly what we're looking for. So please hit subscribe in all of the places. One of those would be right here on Instagram. Let me go side by side. Also tell you, at the bottom of the screen there, a reminder that the New American Media exists on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. Search the New American Media. Set the notifications. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_Media_. And our podcast is at The Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. Welcome to the bar. Tip jars are out. We're on Patreon at the New American Media. I think we just had a subscriber, a new member on Rumble, signed up for a monthly subscription to our channel, which would be a $5 ongoing, I think is what it is. But we do have memberships and super chats available on YouTube, which is great. Another tip jar out. We appreciate all the regulars who come by. The regular crowd shuffles in. By the way, if anyone wants a mug, shoot $40 over, and shipping included, I'll get this to your front door. It's a mug that says the New American Media, red on the inside, white, and then blue right there at the flag. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. The more tip jars, the better. Venmo, Cash App is my name, Brian Engelman, and then PayPal, the email address is fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. All right. Hello in chat, Marion and Trash Panda. Nimbus is hungry, exactly. Love bites, sort of. Wait, we have a share button? I did get a haircut, didn't I? I suppose. I reckon I did. It was time. Trying to keep them kempt, maybe. We shall see. I don't know. Maybe I should shave all the beardness off. I don't know. John is saying that was him on Rumble. Awesome, John. Appreciate you. I was clicking to see the names, and it wasn't showing me. Man, Nimbus is... he is cuddling up right now. Hi, bud. Well, thank you, Trash Panda Texas. That's mighty kind of you, sir. Appreciate you. See, and it's good because now we know it works. I don't know that we've received a super chat version on Rumble. I don't know what that's Rumble Rant, I think. I don't think anyone has tested it, so it's a race to see who can be the first person to test that, by the way. You're all welcome, Rumble, the New American Media. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I think Nimbus is going to settle in here, so it's going to limit what I can type. That's fantastic. Yes, I've been cuddling Nim. I've been very... All right. Benny Johnson. President Trump throws the hammer down on Antifa and bashes Biden for what we're watching, what's been happening.
The last administration, the Department of Justice targeted faithful Catholics, Christians, and patriotic parents as domestic extremists. They said, oh, they're extreme because they believe in God. They're extreme because they go to a Catholic church, or evangelicals, where everybody was under the gun. Unless you were a really bad, sick person, then they left you alone. Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals, and all who fund and support their campaigns are in serious trouble. And we have a lot of records already, a lot of surprises, a lot of bad surprises. It's people that you would never think. Under the last administration, the Department of Justice targeted.
Elections do matter. So let's not get entirely black-pilled. There's a lot of good things that are happening. All right, video journalist Nick Shirley talking about Antifa and the violence out in these Democrat streets and the police not doing a damn thing to help.
Chased out by a member of Antifa who said he would smoke me, and next thing he knew, a DHS sniper had lasers on his chest. If he was not there, who knows what would have happened that day. These people are very dangerous, and people wonder how they're able to do it. It's the reason is because these cities are not enforcing the law. And why should these people be worried if the law is not being enforced? And we are not far right, nor are we far wrong. We're just right. And the truth about what's happening.
Savannah Hernandez, she's like, oh, I like that. And she's like, do I like that? It was a little weird. And I've met Savannah a couple of times out in the field. Yeah, I've been to some of these events, and you can tell, man, like it's a very odd energy. It's a lot of opportunistic, violent people waiting to kind of see if they can ride the wave of something. You can feel it. The type of person that would pick up a rock and chuck it, but they're not going to get too close. Or if someone's grappling someone else, they might run over and throw an errant punch or kick somebody when they're already down. These are cowardly people trying to find power in the group. Now, that's not to describe everyone. That's to describe some of the people in the group. But yeah, if you're not defending the journalists, you're on the side of the domestic terrorists. You have every right to gather. You don't have a right to block the streets. You have every right to make your voices heard. And then there's also a way to do that without becoming a general disturbance to the community. There's a huge difference. We all know that. We all know that. All right, Nimbus is switching sides here. If you see the camera shaking, it's not an earthquake, it's Nimbus going like this. Putting his scent like on this area. When you go like that, it leaves your scent. And it's also where he likes to get brushed. Okay, buddy. No, you're not on the laptop. Okay. All right. Time to go. And then he got nibbly. Nope. You're not going to step on the computer and get nibbly when I correct you on that. Hey, something I was going to discuss at the top of the show. Baseball. Let's talk about it briefly. Where's the playoff bracket? There we go. Winner take all. Tigers, Mariners. That's tomorrow. Winner take all. Will advance to play the Blue Jays, who knocked out the Yankees. Yankees, of course, beat the Red Sox. Tigers, of course, beat the Guardians. Phillies are waiting. The Phillies are playing the Dodgers, who took out the Reds. Dodgers lead 2-1, so it's an elimination game. Dodgers can advance with the win here, and so can Milwaukee Brewers, the 1 seed over in the National League. Today, it's a chance for the Cubs to tie it up and force a winner-take-all match of 5, or for the Brewers to move on and play the winner of the Dodgers-Phillies. All right. That's all I wanted to say about it. I just want to give you an update. Yeah, I know, Nimbus. It was good seeing you. He's still kind of hanging out. Not sure what he wants to do. Anyway, yeah, being out in these areas, it is chaos. There is lawlessness, and I haven't preferred spending too much time in nighttime riot zones. We did interview somebody on January 6th. She was friends with the man that was killed in our Pacific Northwest in the parking garage. They got a Trump supporter, targeted for difference in politics, assassinated. You know, this stuff has been going on for a while. And it is urgent. We need to get some control over what's been going on here, because it's coordinated and it's been growing. And it needs to change. Yeah, you're not much of a nation if you can't defend your journalists.
Happening here in America with these groups is very dangerous, and I thank you, Mr. President, and your administration as well for acknowledging that. Chased out by a
Well, hey, it's not like only the United States has problems. Let's take a look across the pond to see what the UK is doing with digital ID, eh? This is something that's happening very quickly behind the scenes. We're not really paying attention to it, but we need to.
It's just submitted to it. They just submitted to digital ID.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these motherfuckers are pushing digital ID on these people. And once they do digital ID, they're going to attach it to a social credit score.
Yep.
They're going to attach it to a carbon footprint score. And then they'll be able to control your movement and control you entirely. And most importantly, they've already arrested 12,000 people for social media posts.
That's insane.
Above and beyond every other country, way above Russia. Russia was like 400 last year. The UK is 12,000. Any criticism of immigration, any criticism of grooming gangs and people being raped, any talk about how horrible this is, they come visit you. It's like someone's trying to destroy England. It's literally like they've got a concerted effort to destroy England, and they're getting away with it.
Yeah. And what happens over there?
It's really crazy. It's really crazy to watch, because the mass immigration's not an accident. If I was going to destroy a country, I would do it exactly the way they're doing it. I'd take away their freedom, take away their ability to protest, take away their guns, which they did in the 90s, and then you start tightening that noose. Tighter and tighter, add more restrictions, more this, more that.
I mean, we're getting closer.
And just the arresting people. When you arrest 12,000 people for social media posts, you don't just arrest people for social media posts. You change people's ability to post about things because of fear. So they self-censor. So you don't even you're hitting them with, like, this one guy who complained about. There's a famous video where this fucking idiot in a wig. He's one of them judges, and they wear the wigs, the white powdered wigs, and he's sentencing this guy for 20 months for social media posts that are normal, like normal complaints about mass immigration of illegals from other countries that aren't assimilating and that they believe are ruining their society, which there's a real argument for. And that's what online discourse is supposed to be about, like having conversations. Like, I'm voicing my concern for the way society is running right now because of what's happening, and no one's doing anything about it, and no one's protecting anybody. It's nuts, man.
Any time in human history that would be called an invasion.
Yeah.
And now it's
not just an invasion. It's like they're doing it. They're letting people do it. They're enabling these people doing it, and they're putting them on the dole too, which is even crazier. Well, England's just submitted to it. They just submitted to digital ID.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these motherfuckers are pushing digital ID on these people. And once they do digital ID, they're going to attach it to a social credit score. They're going to attach it to a carbon footprint score. And then they'll be able to control your movement and control you entirely. And most importantly, they've already arrested 12,000 people for social media posts.
That's
all happening in the background while we're distracted with the other stuff. All right. Poor England. Okay. C3 says this is a member of the international terrorist organization known as Antifa. He's also the son of Democrat Senator Tim Kaine. Catherine Clark's daughter, Riley Dahl, arrested at chaotic anti-abortion Boston march. Is Tim Kaine a member of Antifa too? Let's ask Grok about this. Tim Kaine, son in Antifa. Let's see what Grok says. No. Not confirmed. Claims from a 17 incident where he participated in an anti-Trump protest that turned chaotic, but official records and fact checks show no evidence of formal affiliation with the decentralized far-left Antifa movement. Stop saying decentralized. Tim Kaine backed his son's right to protest, but condemned all political violence, including Antifa. All right, so that's not quite accurate. And that was our question on this post. Confirmed? Actually, I'll put it in the comments while we're here. Okay, I will put this comment from Grok. So I left breadcrumbs so that other people can know. That's not entirely certain. That's not to say that he's not. It's just that it hasn't been proven in a way that you would say it in such a manner. We have to be careful with over-exaggerating. Yeah, but the president does it all the time. Yeah, we need to be careful. We need to just be as precise as possible. Wall Street Apes showing this. This is a YouTuber. David Wood goes to Dearborn, Michigan, and he has a story to tell.
The entire world about this 15, 16 years ago, what we were exposing was that they didn't want Christians evangelizing Muslims or handing out tracts or anything, right? But they couldn't just make a rule saying Christians aren't allowed to distribute materials. So they just made a rule and they said no one's allowed to hand out materials, but then they only enforced it on Christians.
All right, David Wood with my friends Paul and Antonio here. We're not actually going to go into the festival right now because we know automatically they're going to lock us up no matter what we do. They'll lie about us. It's just the way of life here in Dearborn if you're a Christian. So we brought a case of copies of the Gospel of John in English and Arabic. We try standing outside of the festival and handing some of them out. I suspect they're going to stop us even then, but we'll see. We hope that there's no problems. Look at this. They weren't here 3 minutes. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yes, sir.
I'm going to have you turn off the camera.
Okay.
Okay, and you're going to have to walk with me, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead and hand me the camera.
So,
I'll turn it off. I'll turn it off. Okay, you're going to have to come out.
all right, as you just saw, two of my friends walked over to the Arab Festival, outside of the Arab Festival, and tried to distribute copies of the Gospel of John in English and Arabic, and they were stopped immediately outside the festival. You didn't see what happened afterwards, but they took us to the security booth, they photographed us, they took our IDs, got the information, took our camera, his cell phone for a little while. They let us go and just explain the rules to us. But what the rule is, it seems, is not that you can't distribute copies of the Gospel of John inside the festival. It also applies outside the festival. They told us we would have to go at least 5 blocks away if we wanted to distribute anything. So this is getting very interesting, Dearborn. Let's look at some of the places where you are not free to hand out information on a public sidewalk here in Dearborn.
Hi, I'm on the corner of Kingsley and Warren, and I just want to say that I will be arrested in Dearborn, USA, on the corner of Kingsley and Warren if I hand this out.
I'm on the corner of Warren and Imminent or something like that. I'm a former Muslim, and I am not free to give a gospel of Jesus Christ here in Dearborn.
I told the entire world about this 15, 16 years ago. What we were exposing was that they didn't want Christians evangelizing Muslims.
America, people.
I'm an investor.
This is investigative journalist Katie Davis Court talking about Antifa militants turning Portland's ICE facility into a sustained attack of the United States. She was attacked.
Investigative journalist from Seattle. I work for the Post Millennial alongside Andy No and Jack Posobiec. I have been infiltrating Antifa cells in Seattle and Portland for the past decade. I know their inner workings, and Antifa uses extreme political violence to crush the civil rights of their political enemies and believes that violence is justified by any means necessary. But today, I want to focus on what is happening in Portland at the ICE facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months, and this is a call out to corporate media who has completely ignored this story or has falsely reported on it. This is nothing short other than a sustained attack on the United States, which is being supported by Democratic elected officials. The Portland Police Bureau has completely abandoned several blocks outside the ICE facility, giving away their jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days, black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identities behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I am sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came. I'm an investigative journalist.
Yeah, these deep state Democrat blue cities are completely out of control. It is time to restore some sanity. But they're calling attention to it. That's step one. Once again, we're covering the things that are happening and then the big picture things that are happening. Plant-based omnivore says it's not a coincidence that the entire world is in lockstep to roll out digital IDs. The UK mandated digital IDs last week and live facial recognition cameras this week. Switzerland just approved digital IDs, and the EU is working on a digital wallet system for 2026. Wake up, Neo. Today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's reality. Dr. Simon Goddick says, remember when digital ID was a crazy conspiracy theory? Now it's rolling out everywhere under the name of safety and convenience. We told you, you laughed. Turns out the conspiracy theorists were just early, as usual. Carl Vernon says, funny how multiple countries are looking to implement digital ID all at once. Must be a coincidence. This lady with the resist shirt and the multicolored hair and the typical glasses. But if you homeschool your kids, they won't fit in with society. That's the point. That's the point. Yep, follow freedom into biometric surveillance, programmable money, social credit scores. Look how easy it is. Look how easy it is. All right, Kristen Sokolov posting a fiery clash erupting on Capitol Hill as Representative Mike Lawler and Speaker Mike Johnson confront Democrat Senators Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly.
With respect, you voted multiple times to keep the government shut down, okay? The Republican members from Arizona voted to keep the government open. So don't sit here and try to lecture us about whether or not we did our job. We did our job. You did not.
Well, you're not doing your job right now.
Oh, you mean the bill that I'm signed on to extend it? Oh, yeah, cute, right, because you know what? We actually have put forth legislation to do it. You guys just keep pontificating. How about you go down the hall and go vote to open the government up? That would be great. All right. Here's the clean CR. Go vote to open the government up. Thank you very much.
We're going to have.
By the way,
wait a minute.
If you bring them back, we will have a discussion with them. It's very simple.
You're holding the American people hostage because you
not
want to have a
Yes, you
policy
are.
debate.
Yes, you
We
are,
have
sir.
policy debates here every day.
Policy debate.
There's no policy debate when nobody's there. You're talking to yourself.
Hello,
and this
I'm
guy
here. Thanks.
We're having the debate
My
all around
constituents
the
and
block.
yours, I imagine yours are going to be hurt even worse than ours
We-
with these premium increases.
We have a lot of
We have
issues to
fix
work on
it.
together,
When
and the
people-
Republicans
when
are the
people don't have
party.
healthcare,
Wait a minute.
people-
The party that's going to kill healthcare.
But
No,
by
that's
the way,
exactly
healthcare premiums since 2010, when Obamacare passed, have risen by over 60%. So what
Who's
you're,
that?
what
So
you're,
you want to cut now? You want to cut now?
You're not upset about that? You should be upset about that. With all due respect.
Schumer shutdown. It's now impacted me, and I'm not happy about it. All right, Dan Soder, funny comic here, talking about when President Trump has the 250th birthday party for the United States, and they have MMA fight on the lawn of the White House.
They get the octagon set in the ring. I'm telling you right now, they're going to make a hype video.
And they have
that
Pelosi fight McConnell.
Yes,
That's
that.
what they got to do.
If you want to get me to buy the ticket,
If you're going to turn us into like this bizarre, like
not trying to watch
capitalist
the-
hellfest. I don't care about the actual UFC fighters.
Yeah.
Get AOC against Pete Hegseth or
I love it.
something. Yeah,
I mean, Hegseth
come
would
on.
ruin her.
Hegseth would ruin her. That would be a terrible
but
fight.
I wouldn't mind seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene versus AOC.
That's a better fight. That's
or
a
I'm
much
thinking,
better fight.
I mean, Iman versus Boebert.
You want to get your bridge built in Michigan? Win a fight.
Go, local
Win
fight.
A fucking fight.
Let's go,
About-
and let's-
none of this pork barrel shit. Can you suffocate the rival state senator?
You're a
God.
filibuster. I don't care if you could talk for 36 hours.
Cut off their windpipe.
Oh my God, dude!
Fucking
The
choke
idea
'em.
of MTG going release the Epstein files when someone's in a
That would
choke.
be awesome on Matt Gates or something.
He's like,
That would be-
and he goes, I know she did so much CrossFit. And she's like, I'm not gonna release the files when they get.
I found that pretty funny. Dan Soder. I don't know the other guy's name. Jeffrey Asmus. It's pretty funny. All right, what else we got? Libs of TikTok reporting here is an illegal alien invader who was sentenced to 30 years in prison for R-ing an 11-year-old girl multiple times. Ricardo Mejia, an illegal alien from El Salvador, has been sentenced to 30 years for R-ing an 11-year-old girl multiple times. Mejia was hired as a contractor in Virginia Beach to renovate a family home. He then broke into the home 3 different times to R the young girl. 3 different times. I'm not following the story of how this happens and then it happens again. And was this consensual underage where they can't consent? Wait, I'm sorry, 11. No, that's not a 17-year-old. No. Here's the part of the story that doesn't make sense to me in the comments. Help me understand. Question of the day. If you live in a home, I guess, how could this happen? I guess if the girl was too scared to tell anyone and it happened to her 3 times before the bad guy was finally caught. Otherwise, there's no way the family finds out about this a first time and that there's going to be a second time. There would never be a second time. Broke in 3 times. Oh, this is why you check everybody at the door. I don't know if this guy had a background. I don't know if he had crimes that we had known about. But definitely in the country illegally. Should have never happened. James O'Keefe is going to tell us about a diplomat, a U.S. diplomat, who was hiding their relationship to somebody in the CCP. Secretary Rubio has fired this diplomat.
Huge breaking news within the State Department. Secretary Marco Rubio, with the approval of the president.
This is espionage stuff. This is very important. This is why Hunter Biden and the laptop from hell, why that story needed to be out there for people to understand. It's a national security risk.
President of the United States, Donald Trump, has just fired the Foreign Service Officer Daniel Choi, who we at OMG caught on hidden camera, revealing his romantic relationship with a CCP affiliate, possible Chinese spy.
I defied my government for love.
Now, according to a new statement from the State Department, quote, today, after presidential review and approval, the Secretary of State has terminated a Foreign Service officer, also known as FSO, who concealed a romantic relationship with a Chinese national with ties to the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, that's your Manchurian candidate. That's your Trojan horse. That's your honeypot. That's your spider web. It's all it's espionage. It's treason. So check out that full story. All right, let's share this one with you. Oh. How are we all doing today? Are we doing good? I know I'm talking at you. I'm not talking to you as much. I'm just trying to go through the news. I'm trying to get to more in a tighter amount of time. As best I can. What are you all looking forward to? Tell me what you're looking forward to. Give me something you're looking forward to. Question of the day. Spy versus spy. Spy versus thigh. Okay, share this tab instead. All right, perfect. Make sure you're following the New American Media on X. We are at American_media_. Jack Posobiec says, I've had to keep quiet about this all week. Jack, you weren't quiet. You said, wouldn't it be interesting if we booked Creed for... Actually, I don't know if that was you, but it's gone around enough. And I did see you hinting at it. But yeah, this is exactly what's needed. TPUSA All-American halftime show is happening. Counter-programming to whatever the NFL wants to keep doing. Watch the numbers of people that tune out and jump over. Watch what happens. You know what? They pushed too hard, they pushed too much. They're getting exactly what they asked for. TPUSA thrilled to announce the All-American halftime show. I'm very curious to see what happens here. Creed. Let's imagine they're the front runners to participate. Maybe Kid Rock. Come on, who could you imagine on the counter programming? And how cool, like, how long is the typical halftime show? That's a question to ask Grok. How many minutes are given to Super Bowl halftime performance? 20? 15? 15, 12 to 15. But you know what? This could be 30 because they do a little bit of overview. They buy a little extra time, a couple minutes at the beginning, a couple minutes afterward, because you got to roll all that stuff out into position. You have to get it all off the field. There's a lot of movement of infrastructure that needs to occur at that time. I would say it would be easy to do a 30-minute halftime thing. Maybe one Kid Rock song, maybe one Creed song, maybe one. I mean, you could, and maybe you're all kind of jamming on the same song and performing it together. Like, who would be on the lineup? There's a good question of the day. Pick 5 bands Who would you like to see counter programming at this concert? What would you like to see as counter programming? Said yesterday, maybe some of the performers from the Kirk Memorial. I mean, but that's the question. Would you be going for a worship service, or would you be going for a rock concert, for a no cussing, no obsessive, obscene gyrating, no drag shows, no Satan worship, no wonky occult shit. Just a show with a couple of classic songs, with a couple of classic acts. Have Aerosmith do Walk This Way, and Kid Rock's doing the back and forth. They're doing the, Run DMC part. The anti-Bruce Springsteen. Have Aaron Lewis. Come on. These people would all do this show. You just got to book them. Yeah. I know a thing or two about booking shows. Pretty cool. I'm excited about it. No, can't do Ozzy. I mean, you could prop him up. Sharon. Blank and Jones. NFL is now freaking lame. I don't know. I'm wondering, any country acts. There's got to be some patriotic, anti-Zach Bryan patriotic music. Anyway. All right. Mary Tally Bowden is asking, where did this woman come from? How does someone so vile rise to the top? This lady's everywhere now. I mean, she's got the crazy eyes, the weird mannerisms, the weird engagement metrics. This is the person, Katie Porter, who they're going to try to put up as the next governor of California.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice. So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of...
I'll take things that never happened for $400, Alex.
My 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people.
Reminder. It's a reminder.
Daughter. And so it was...
Daughter. Reminder.
This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter.
Daughter.
And so it was really a reminder of...
Reminder. Daughter. Reminder.
Of an abortion.
Abortion. Reminder. Daughter.
I need to have an abortion. This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people, and how important it is for Democrats to have strategies, both at the state level and the federal level, to make sure that we can continue to protect people's rights. So on election...
This person's everywhere now. Rand Paul is putting this article out from Reason, reminding us that the Constitution does not allow the president to unilaterally blow up suspected drug smugglers. If the Trump administration wants to use military power, it should seek authorization from Congress, says Senator Rand Paul. Somewhere off the coast of Venezuela, a speedboat with 11 people on board is blown to smithereens. Vice President J.D. Vance announces that killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. When challenged, the killing citizens without due process is a war crime. The vice president responded that he didn't give a shit. Sometimes in fits of anger, loud voices will say they don't care about niceties such as due process. They just want to kill bad guys. For a brief moment, all of us may share that anger and may even embrace revenge or retribution. But over 20,000 people are murdered in the U.S. each year, and yet somehow we find a way to a dispassionate dispensation of justice that includes legal representation for the accused in jury trial. Why? Because sometimes the accused is actually not guilty. As passions subside, a civilized people should ask, to be clear, The people bombed to smithereens were guilty, right? If anyone gave a you know what about justice, perhaps those in charge of deciding whom to kill might let us know their names, present proof of their guilt, and show evidence of their crimes. The administration has maintained that people blown to smithereens were members of Tren de Aragua and therefore narco-terrorists. Certainly then, if we know they belong to a particular gang, then someone must surely have known their names before they were blown to smithereens. At the very least, the government should explain how the gang came to be labeled as terrorists. U.S. law defines a terrorist as someone who uses premeditated, politically motivated violence against non-combatants. Since the U.S. policy is now to blow people to smithereens if they are suspected of being in a terrorist gang, then maybe someone could take the time to explain the evidence of their terrorism. Critics of this whole terrorist labeling charade, such as Matthew Petty at Reason, explain that in practice, that means that a terrorist is whoever the executive branch decides to label one. While no law dictates such, once people are labeled as terrorists, they appear to no longer be eligible for any sort of due process. The blow them to smithereens crowd at this point will loudly voice their opinion that people in international waters whom we label as terrorists deserve no due process. Vice President Vance asserts there are people who are bringing literal terrorists who are bringing deadly drugs into our country. Which, of course, raises the questions, who labeled them and with what evidence? What are their names and what specifically shows their membership in guilt? The blow them to smithereens crowd also conveniently ignores the fact that death is generally not the penalty for drug smuggling. The mindless trolls that occupy much of the internet whine that such questions show weakness or commiseration with drug pushers who are killing our kids, which is a ludicrous assertion to most sentient humans, but one I fear requires a response. International law and norms have always granted due process to individuals on the high seas not actively involved in combat. U.S. maritime laws explain in detail the level of force and escalation of force allowed in the interdiction of drugs. Hundreds of ships are stopped and searched. The blow them to smithereens crowd might stop to ponder that a good percentage of the ships searched actually turn out to not be drug smugglers. Coast Guard stats show that 1 in 4 interdictions find no drugs. So far, the administration has blown up 4 boats suspected of drug smuggling. Statistically speaking, there's a good chance that one of these boats may not have had any drugs on board. If the U.S. policy is to blow all suspected ships to smithereens, should that policy really be extolled as the highest and best use of our military? Jake Rahm puts the dilemma of whom to designate as a terrorist into sharp relief. The hollowness and malleability of the term terrorism means that it can be applied to groups regardless of their actual conduct and regardless of their actual ideology. It admits only a circular definition that a terrorist is someone who carries out terrorist acts, and a terrorist act is violence that's carried out by a terrorist. Conversely, if someone is killed, it is because they are a terrorist, because to be a terrorist means to be killable. Let me jump into the Rand Paul piece here, but yeah, I mean, that's exactly what they've done to take and misrepresent both President Trump and Charlie Kirk to make them killable. Very misrepresenting in order to put the target on and say, yep, you need to go after that. That's something worth, you simply must. Back to the article. Few independent legal scholars argue that the strikes are legal. Even John Yoo, a former deputy assistant attorney general under President George W. Bush, who infamously authored the Bush admin's legal justification for enhanced interrogation techniques, has criticized the Trump admin's justification for the strikes, saying there has to be a line between crime and war. We can't just consider anything that harms the country to be a matter for the military, because that could potentially include every crime. John Duffy, retired naval captain, eloquently summarizes our current moment. A republic that allows its leaders to kill without law, to wage war without strategy, and to deploy troops without limit is a republic in deep peril. Congress will not stop it. The courts will not stop it. That leaves those sworn not to a man, but to the Constitution. Congress must not allow the executive branch to become judge, jury, and executioner. President Thomas Jefferson understood the framers' intention that the president defer to Congress on matters of offensive war, and that's why Jefferson, when faced with the belligerence of the Barbary pirates in 1801, recognized that he was unauthorized by the Constitution without the sanction of Congress to go beyond the line of defense. Jefferson wanted the authority to act offensively against the pirates, but he respected the international checks placed on the executive within the Constitution. Only after Congress passed an Act for the Protection of Commerce and Seamen of the United States against the Tripolitan cruisers in February 1802 did he order offensive naval operations. If the Trump administration wants to use military power, it should seek authorization from Congress, and Congress must have the courage, as the people's representatives, to reassert its constitutional duty to decide matters of war and peace. I think it's important. That we have the conversation. Smitherings. No, it was Smithers. Smithers. Question: if you're in international waters, do you have to provide a course of travel to someone? I would copy that and put it into X. Put it into Grok and ask. I don't know. But now I'm curious. Jefferson versus Bunker. So Rand Paul is trying to get us to rethink what's going on, blowing up suspected drug smuggling boats. This account is showing as London purges into the abyss of invasion with real-life terrorist attacks and teenage recruitment. British police brilliantly demonstrate their priorities, heroically arresting a white child for fishing in the Thames. A child with a fishing rod is a direct threat to national security, they say. NBC4 posted this. Oh, NBC is awful. They are so bad. It says a man who had vials of liquid and possible fireworks was arrested outside of the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle Sunday morning before Red Mass started. The readers added context. The vials of liquid or Molotov cocktails? Molly Hemingway says, after left-wing radical judge on Friday greenlit attacks on conservative justices with a shockingly short sentence for Kavanaugh assassination attempt, another man appears to target the Red Mass attended by judges and justices. Man with 200 explosives and leftist manifesto arrested outside the Supreme Court event at the church. 2 days after a Biden judge gave a light sentence to an attempted Kavanaugh assassin, church event historically attended by conservative justices has been targeted. Anger directed at the Supreme Court, says the manifesto. Anger at ICE and Catholics and Jews. Last year, 3 conservative justices were at the special mass. Gunnery Sergeant Jesse Jane Duff says it was a major event. The Red Mass at St. Matthew's Cathedral has 1,200 people attending, including Catholic leaders, Cardinal Robert W. McElroy, and many professors from the many Catholic universities in D.C. The damage from the explosives would have been catastrophic. How did they catch him? Scott Thurman says, attack avoided a cathedral. DC police found 200 devices and smell of acetone emitting from some of the vials. In a tent, a New Jersey man allegedly set up on the steps of St. Matthew's Cathedral just hours before the annual Red Mass. Luis Jerry, 41, has been arrested. He allegedly said the devices were going to be used as grenades and explosives. The Red Mass is before the start of the Supreme Court's term and briefings, and it brings together judges, justices, attorneys, and government officials. This is your violent left again. Your domestic terrorists. They attacked the conservative event because, of course. Twitchy team. Man arrested outside annual Red Mass had hundreds of explosive devices and a leftist manifesto. Where's my pretends to be shocked face? It's The Democrats are they've devolved into little more than a domestic terrorist organization. They're not even they're not even performing the basic functions of government. They're intentionally engaged in dereliction of duty. Here's an interview about it. Senator Bill Hagerty.
Senator, let's talk really quickly about the shutdown because a lot of people are concerned about that. We're in
Certainly
day
isn't.
9. Will you tell us what, where we're going with this and when maybe we can open up the government again?
Ainsley, I've heard different numbers. The lowest is that it's costing taxpayers $400 million a day. We'd be well into the $3.6 billion range. I've also heard a $15 billion a week number, which would put us closer to 30. So somewhere in that range is very costly to the American public. But this latest from Chuck Schumer, I mean, I really can't believe this. Chuck Schumer just said yesterday that every day that the government stays shut down is better for us. Ainsley, my question is, who is us in Chuck Schumer's mind? Is it the military that is working without pay overseas?
Terrible quote.
Is it law enforcement that is not being paid while they're being attacked in Portland, Oregon? Is it the air traffic controllers and that system that is not functioning right now and people are being delayed all over America? No, I can tell you who us is. Us is Chuck Schumer and his political career in New York State, because if you polled it right now, he would lose to AOC in a primary. This is all about Chuck Schumer's political future in New York State, and he's holding the United States of America hostage. It's ridiculous, and I'm shocked to hear a comment like that.
Nancy Pelosi said it's a day at the beach for Republicans. They love this.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
Yep, and now it's getting in my way too. Holding America hostage. Matt Van Swole reports he's just learned that Burchett Mason, what is this? Mason Burchett, owner of True Metal Supply, is the man responsible for putting up these billboards across Western North Carolina and Tennessee. He's receiving death threats and calls to boycott his businesses. It would be a shame if this went viral and his business exploded. I think he means in a good way. So if you know anyone in Western North
Senator, let's talk.
Salty Goat says, hey, so do y'all remember how nervous Adam Schiff was about Pam Bondi investigating Jack Smith? Now we know why. He is so going to end up in prison, and I can't wait.
The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment.
It would be irresponsible of me.
Regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a
Period.
factual predicate to open an investigation.
He's looking at a file. I bet he might be other files. Yeah, if I were putting money on it, I would put him at the top of the list. If I were wagering whether somebody's a creepo or not. Compromised, blackmailed, controlled.
Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith. Is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. You know,
and sitting here,
72%,
sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
please, I only have
have
7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question.
Brought to me.
You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
sensitive information. So just tell
As
us,
a
are
nominee.
you aware? Just tell us, are you aware of
As
a
a
factual
nominee.
predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news
Are
is
you aware
horrible.
of a?
Do I know if he
you seem
committed a crime?
reluctant.
I have not looked
You
at
seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question.
Check his laptop. Grace Chong says, here, let me play this clip and then read what they said about it. James Comey, tell me why he got this treatment. Make this make sense.
I got breaking news. They slipped Comey in through another entrance so he didn't have to come through here. This is bullshit. I don't know who at DOJ and who at the FBI, I hope the White House understands this. that, instead of Navarro and I proudly walked in there because I was proud of what I did. And I wasn't going to have the media. Mike Davis, you know this. You're one of the guys that backed me, one of my lawyers. I was proud. I don't mind backing down the media, but they try to sit there and psychologically break you. So they got that image of you walking into court the entire time. I don't know how James Comey's in court right now. He just pleaded not guilty. Is that correct? On social media? They allowed Comey to do something they didn't allow anybody else to do. This is the problem. The problem is the system is rigged on these guys' side, okay? It's got to stop. Is Comey going to be shackled? Is Comey going to be strip searched? Why? Comey's there for felonies. Navarro and Bannon, hey, look, I never whined about this at all. It is what it is. And when I went to prison, the audience knows that. It is what it is. But I'll be damned if we're going to sit here and allow Comey, who is a total scumbag, and you already see this deck is already, they've already stacked this deck right now. Why is Comey not coming in from outside like everybody has to? There's no way of taking you below a thing. And I don't want to hear security. You don't think there was higher security at taking out Steve Bannon or Peter Navarro, right, than James Comey? Mike Davis, how could we have allowed this to happen? Comey's in court right
General Flynn says, what in the hell is going on at DOJ? And is there anyone at the White House paying attention? This is not a small matter. God help us if we don't fix this system. We're not one generation away from losing our country to communism. We're one presidency and we're running out of time. Well said. Why don't they have us in their 15-minute city yet?
I think it's important to remind everyone that the only reason why we're not yet living in a 15-minute city on 23-hour lockdown, wearing masks, eating bugs, getting a cancerous shot in our body every other week,
plugged into a hive mind to slave away to the elite is because of us. It's because of us who went on the streets every opportunity since 2020. It's because of the truckers in Canada, the farmers in Europe, because of the so-called conspiracy people who blew the lid off this whole anti-human agenda because we said out loud what most of us were thinking, that we're still somewhat free. So before you judge your crazy, racist, misogynist friends, know this. There's nothing in it for us. We take all the heat, we take all the insults, and we deal with the consequences and the censorship and the loss of revenue and the assassination of character so we can make all of us free, and that includes you. So the next time you see one of your crazy conspiracy friends, do your future, your family, and yourself a favor. Show them some respect. Evil affects all of us. Your children, too. Speak out. That's well said, but it had music, so I couldn't play it. Punchbowl News reported, every day gets better for us, Schumer asserted. Stephen Chung says, Chuck Schumer is admitting the Democrat shutdown where they are hurting everyday Americans is a positive thing. Every Democrat should be asked if they agree with Schumer. Vice President J.D. Vance says, better for Schumer, worse for Americans. What a vile sentiment from an alleged leader in our country. Carolyn Levitt shares this story. Antifa leaders flee America as Trump cracks down on domestic terrorist networks. And there's a Washington Examiner article about that. Antifa leaders are fleeing America for Europe as Trump cracks down on domestic terror networks. Keir Starmer says, I welcome the news that a deal has been reached on the first stage of President Trump's peace plan for Gaza. Melissa Chen says, when you speak up at the prize ceremony for a group project that you contributed nothing to. That's kind of funny. A 2022 clip of California governor candidate Katie Porter calling pedophilia an identity is going viral following her botched interview last night on CBS, where she lost her composure with journalist Julie Watts and nearly walked out.
This allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity. Their sexual orientation, their gender identity.
Oh my God. Hide your kids, hide your wife. She's claiming that you're allowed to identify as a demon who would abuse a kid. Tell me, is there any other way to take what this potential California gubernatorial candidate has to say, this Katie Porter? Oh my God. Play? It won't play.
This allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow.
Somehow for abusing kids, yes.
And engaged in criminal acts merely
because we don't let adults criminalize children.
Because of their identity.
No, you don't get to have an identity as a demon.
Their sexual orientation, their gender.
No. Orientation is not criminal. Criminal is a criminal.
Identity. This allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity.
Yeah, some people have called her Katie Porker. What did you call her? You called her Katie Portley. Are we that sophomoric? Maybe we are. Anything to take out somebody who's going to advocate for the abuse of children. No, you don't get to identify as a child abuser. Nope. This is why people don't like the Democrat Party anymore. Laura Logan says, wanting to have S with children is not a S orientation. It is utterly unacceptable on every level, not just criminal. It is evil. This woman is psychotic. What is Palantir, might you ask? I'm not sure how much music is in this, so we'll see if I can play it.
What is Palantir? Can you explain what this is a little bit?
Palantir is a CIA cutout. So
Oh, it's this Nick guy.
in 2001, after 9/11, they created this it's basically artificial intelligence or an algorithm to interpret these vast amounts of data. The intelligence community takes all this massive amounts of data, emails, phone calls, text messages. Palantir interprets all of it into insights that are usable by law enforcement. And so in 2001, after 9/11, they took what was a CIA program and they just effectively privatized it to bypass the Constitution. You know, Constitution protects people's privacy, but a private company doesn't have to play by the same rules.
So 2001, you're saying that the CIA was spying on people and collecting all this data, and then to get around public oversight, they sort of transferred this into a private company?
Right. So Palantir is a firm that creates usable insights based on vast amounts of data. It's a private entity to circumvent the Constitution. They're founded in 2001. Until 2008, they only worked for the CIA. And the CIA actually provided startup money through their venture capital arm, In-Q-Tel. So they provided all the money for it, and they created all the products. So Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Joe Lonsdale, they were at Langley, Virginia at the CIA headquarters making everything for the CIA as a so-called contractor. And then after that, they branched out into everything. So they identified the Capitol rioters on January 6th. They were identifying who wasn't vaccinated in 2021.
What were they doing with people that weren't vaccinated?
Just to identify contact tracing who had COVID and who was spreading it to everybody using Bluetooth, and then identifying then who wasn't vaccinated for the purpose of these vaccine passports. You know, in states like New York or in New York City, they wouldn't let people into restaurants if they didn't have the vaccine. So this was going to be like, they wanted to identify everybody that didn't have the card.
Yeah.
Using Bluetooth, you said? That's for identifying who has COVID.
Interesting.
Because if you got COVID and you tested positive, they would look at your phone, and your phone has Bluetooth, and they'd see all the other phones that touched it. So they can identify everybody that might have COVID. That's the contact tracing. It's basically just like what Ted Kaczynski warned about. This is the classic panopticon surveillance state. And so Palantir was founded by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel funds all the new right projects. You know, in 2022, he was the single largest individual donor in the cycle. So he put $30 million behind J.D. Vance, Blake Masters.
Why does he look greasy?
Well, he's a gay man. I think that has a lot to do with it. So,
there's a certain amount of grease that comes along with the lifestyle.
Yeah, a lot of lubricant.
You killed Charlie Kirk. He was the nice guy. Now you get more of this guy. Nick Fuentes. You'll get more Milo. You're going to get more voices. Charlie was one of the more civil voices you'll get. Running headlong, face first into it. Heading face first into an antiquated past. Do we just not have a Fourth Amendment in this country anymore? Any right to privacy? They've circumcised the Constitution. I mean, kind of. Circumscribed, circumnavigated. All right. The government shutdown. We're trying to figure out what's going on with healthcare and with the bill. Let's try to understand this, all right? This is James Blair and someone else.
And with great pleasure, joining us now, White House Deputy Chief of Staff, James Blair. James, welcome back to the show.
James Blair.
All right, so you heard what the
All right, so you've heard what the
president had to say today.
Give
me your roundup. Give
me your roundup.
Your message.
Give me your message.
Help me out here. What is James Blair saying?
What is James Blair saying?
Look, it's very simple. The Democrats have to reopen the government. They're the ones that closed it, and they're the ones that are keeping it closed. And there's been a lot of attention on health care, but the Democrats are not being honest about how we got here. So I'm going to explain how we got here. Several years ago, when the Democrats had the trifecta in Washington, when Joe Biden was the president, and they controlled the House and they controlled the Senate, they voted once, not once, but twice, for these insurance subsidies that they're talking about to be temporary. They are the ones that set the clock on these to expire. So they are asking us to fix something that they broke to begin with. Second point, back when we did the working families tax cut package over the summer, the big reconciliation bill, the House passed a provision in its version of the bill in May called the Cost Sharing Reduction Program. It would have saved the U.S. taxpayers $3 billion a year and lowered all of the premiums for people that are on the Obamacare exchanges. The Democrats in the Senate went to the Senate parliamentarian, lobbied the parliamentarian to knock that provision out of the bill, which would have brought premiums down for everybody, and then they bragged about it. And the reason they did that was they wanted to set this up right now. They wanted to bank on the American people, not knowing that they're the ones that broke this. They are the ones that prevented us from lowering health care premiums just a few months ago, and now they want us to fix it. And here's the good news. As the president said, he wants to have a conversation about health care. He's willing to. He's working for the American people. But they cannot hold the American people hostage. They have to reopen the government so we can get back to work and start working on the details of how we can resolve this issue. It's that simple.
Nice and simple. People are blaming the Democrats. The Schumer shutdown. That's how I'm viewing it. Speaker Mike Johnson here talking about the troops, the TSA agents, Border Patrol, people who are not going to get paid because of Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats. Not good.
And burn up the time in October, because this was always intended to be a very important period for R's and D's in both chambers to work through this stuff. They're the ones preventing that from happening. And they've closed the government for no reason, and real Americans are being harmed. As you noted at the outset of the program, the troops are about to miss a paycheck on October 15th. TSA agents, Border Patrol agents, the people who are working every day and sacrificing their own safety to provide safety for others will not be paid because Chuck Schumer and 43 of his colleagues, Senate Democrats, are playing games. The House passed the bill. The Senate Republicans have passed the bill. The president supports it. Republicans are voting to open the government, and Democrats are keeping it closed. And that's why the Democrats are so wrong to close the.
Let's give you an update down here. City of Austin, Texas is passing off a $120,000 fee to taxpayers. They want taxpayers to pay for a No Kings, anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, anti-America rally.
These are sick people. Pam, go ahead, please.
Well, they're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. They're smart, but they're not smart enough. They have been covered by these liberal cities for so many years. And that's why we're all working with Treasury, with all these different departments to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I'm just giving. I was just given a note by Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly. So I will take a couple of more questions. Bad for.
That's a great way to end a press conference, by the way. Okay, while we're looking at the Pacific Palisades fire, because they made an arrest today, there's more to it. Don't forget about this whole story.
There is something very large at play in the Palisades fire. There was a couple from Portland, Oregon, and
They drive all the way in a special van.
and they drove into the Palisades fire scene in a
decommissioned fire truck, specifically. That's what
a decommissioned fire truck. They had emblazoned this fire truck with the name Rolling River Fire Department.
Were they there like from minute one?
All I know is that they got into the scene 2 days in a row before they were stopped and arrested.
Whoa.
I don't know if they burnt it down. We do know that they were acting suspiciously in the fire zone on a fake fire truck.
A fake fire truck. The guy that has been arrested was searching for images, had a fascination with it. And there were a lot of fires that were set simultaneously, it seems. So I don't think this is a one-person thing. This is a whole other group of people here. Super suspicious for the Los Angeles Palisades fire.
Turns out the woman is a National Weather Service wind and fire expert who teaches...
Wind and fire expert. Who teaches juvenile delinquents
climate change issues.
Huh. So she brainwashes the bad kids and then turns them into eco-terrorists to say, oh, look, more natural fires occurring. See, it's climate change. We need to end our economy or whatever they do next after that. Oh my gosh, making rap songs.
They make rap songs called weather slaps. And some of the lyrics go like, wait until you see it all burn. And her husband, the guy behind the wheel, is a convicted arsonist.
The driver's a convicted arsonist. That's not a...
Who burned down country clubs and rich people's houses in
a small town in Oregon. Woodburn Estates.
Small town in Oregon.
Dustin Neal. Part of a multi-year investigation, several crimes against the golf course. Wow.
Holy shit.
They were eco-terrorists. So I am convinced that this is an act of eco-terrorism.
That's insane to me.
So work that story into the fact that they made an arrest of somebody. All right, let's watch this. Buck Sexton showing us a normally, emotionally stable person. Or would you say Katie Porter is an ogreish bully? California Democrats look and say, hey, there's my future government.
For Trump. What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're thinking.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland.
Is this a woman or is this a man presenting as a woman? I can't stop thinking. I'm not familiar with California politics these days. I used to be. I don't know anything about this person. Just curious. But now that this person's everywhere, each and every day, this person is out there.
You don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel
you
like
need
this
to
is
vote?
unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
Correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can.
This is weird.
And what I'm saying to you is that.
Well, to those voters, okay, so you.
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't
our
care.
follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation.
I'm going to walk away if I'm challenged in any way. Oh, good Lord. This is not an executive that you want in charge. I mean, the hairline looks like a man. The body shape looks like a frumpy man. I don't, very aggressive like a man. I don't know. I don't even care. I'm just curious. I am just now watching this full video for the first time. And these are the things, the questions in my head. Is it? Have you know? Is it? I don't. I mean, do we have the exact story? Or are we being told partial story here? Whatever we.
In which you ask me about every issue on this list, and if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never
reporter.
had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader.
I'm a leader for me. I'm a leader for me. Oh, man. You do not want to work with this person. You do not want to have dinner with this person. No, you don't want to be. No. Nope.
So I am going to make.
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these. And if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you.
That sounds like a threat. I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you. That sounds like a threat. Doesn't it? Doesn't that sound kind of... I don't want to be unhappy around you? Excuse me. In what delusional universe do you get to determine that you can only be happy around people? This is a very bad job interview. This is maybe the worst job interview I've ever seen.
And I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either. I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. And redistricting, it's a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just.
Whew. An ogreish bully. Sebastian shows us here. His hat doesn't make him a criminal. His hat doesn't make him a criminal. Now a danger to anyone. Okay, hold on. This guy's supposed to get off the place
with me, and I'm flying Delta, and I went on there and sat down, and I haven't said a word to anybody. I haven't done anything, but because of my hat, they asked me to step off.
I'm not entirely certain what the hat says.
Because of
build back. Oh, it might say build back better my ass. You know, you're cussing on your hat. I think they do have a policy that if you're using vulgar language on your clothing or your hat, you can be asked to remove it. And if you don't comply, you could be removed from a flight. So it's not just a MAGA hat. In case you see that. Eric Daughtry says now waves of paid leftist protesters are now storming the streets of Chicago for liberation, and they're waving Mexican flags. What do we want? Legalization. When do we want it now? ICE right here. attention.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! I'm going to say, what do we want? You're going to say legalization. What do we want? Legalization! What do we want? Legalization! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Now! And if we don't get it? Shut it down! And if we don't get it? Shut it down! And if we don't get it? Shut it down! And if we don't get it? Shut it down! And if we don't get it? Shut it down!
So yeah, who's funding this? What is the plan? Rand Paul talking about the U.S. not being able to blow up boats without even knowing who's on them. There's no due process on that. No names, no evidence, no oversight. He'll be co-sponsoring a war powers resolution to make sure military action abroad has congressional approval. We can't drift into another regime change war. Oh, here's another one. Katie Porter again. Yelling at a staffer. I wonder if there's a short version of this.
I am. All right. 600. You ready for stat number 2? I am. All right. $632 in their pocket. And did a study we don't for transportation problems, and the state could lose that we're going to lose.
Right here now. Look over her left shoulder. There's a staffer in the back. This is her fault for not putting a static background behind her. To put to spin the camera so that you're looking at a wall. That's on her for blocking off the entire home. But she yells at somebody else.
More than 500,000 Californians dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems, and the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that.
Banging on the countertop. This is a very horrible temperament on this person.
Stay out of my shot.
This is such a little baby. No, California. Just on temperament alone. This ain't it. Keep looking. No. Matt Van Swole asks, hey, longtime Trump supporters, how did you handle the media lying about him and his administration every single day for a decade? I'm getting called fascist and far right just for telling people the truth. You just one foot in front of the other. Dom Luker, breaker of narrative, says the police in Greenville, South Carolina keep getting multiple calls because the neighbors of this house have been alerting authorities due to believing this house is on fire, only to find out it's a Halloween decoration. Look at this. I mean, that looks like the house is on fire. Could you imagine? And it's got the smoke and everything. That is wild. Jenny Beth Martin reminds us that every day is another day to be grateful that Kamala Harris isn't the president of the United States. If you don't think it matters, just consider what would be happening right now if Kamala Harris had stolen the country somehow. So yes, it matters. We are getting a lot of wins. Let's work on it. It's easy to get discouraged and distracted. Genevieve Gluck here says that a trans activist, Kendall Stevens, has been charged with R-ing 2 children. He responded to the charges by accusing a child victim of being a predator. Temple University has deleted their interview with him.
A woman, but I say, well, that's not true. I'm growing into who I am. Yeah. It was such a struggle for us. So that we can live a life as normal as possible, right? But
okay, well, you can look into that. Andrew Colvett, he was the one that confirmed the Charlie Kirk messages, by the way, that I was searching the name for. Robert Barnes reports that his hometown school, UT Chattanooga, apparently told students they cannot form a campus chapter of Turning Point USA due to false claims of hate speech. If this is not reversed immediately, I will sue the school for the students and win, and UTC will pay the bill. Fix it now. Andrew Colvett says the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga has denied Turning Point USA's registered student organization request following a vote by the Student Government Association. This decision effectively blocks our students from gaining official recognition on campus. As a result, the students will be forced to restart the process, reapplying, and once again facing the same student government that has already demonstrated clear bias against them. Tennessee, are these the values of your state? Your tax dollars are propping this garbage up. So stay tuned. Streamer Hassan Piker responds to backlash after people accused him of using a shock collar on his dog and says it's not a shock collar, but a vibrating collar. It has the capacity to vibrate, and that's it. Are you happy? That's it. There's the effing vibrator. It also has a flashlight component to it at nighttime. It also has a tracker on it when she gets lost. We saw what we saw.
Violence. Okay? It's the same reason as to why America... Kaya, please just fucking go. Just stop.
Yeah, you just shocked the dog to go sit back down terrified in the corner, you fucking asshole. You're saying this is him a few years ago, throwing this dog around, grabbing it, pulling it by the tail, lifting it, jerking it straight up? Colin Rugg says he's incredibly angry in every video I see of him. The dog was forced to stay in that same exact spot for 4 hours and 20 minutes. All right. Yeah, surrender the dog. Don't like this guy. Okay, Libs of TikTok says David Mazzarigo, who had 33 prior arrests, beat a man to death by the New York City subway because the man held a door open for him. David was out of jail on a $1,000 bail for a similar assault. And we said you simply can't let violent, crazy people back out onto the streets. Also, water is wet and the sky is blue. Mario Knopfel reporting that a Blackwater founder launches a private army to defend Christians in Nigeria. Eric Prince says he's building a private military company to protect Nigerian Christians from ISIS-linked militants and wants Vatican funding to do it. Prince directly calls out Pope Leo the 14th? Why not help my brothers protect Nigerian Christians from the Muslims who are massacring them? Prince argues persecuted communities need organized professional defense, not just prayers and press releases. Over 7,000 Christians have reportedly been killed in Nigeria this year alone. Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton says if Pritzker is arrested, she'll pick up right where he left off. Well, you know what that is? That's allowing ICE agents to get abused by your citizens. Well, by your illegal alien invaders, too. And to not call in support from the police department. Letting your city devolve into chaos where federal agents can get attacked. That's called civil war. You don't want to get arrested, stop doing arrestable stuff. Hanging the feds out to dry and allowing that area of your city to go lawless. You have a responsibility to maintain law and order. This account says if Hassan doesn't get banned, that means Twitch is allowing animal abusers to roam free on their site. California tore down statues of saints and Christian importance across the state. Saint Junipero Serra statue was a local landmark, widely loved and traveled by many. It's been there since 1976. Without a trace in the middle of the night, it was removed. Not even a warning to the church. The claim here from Matt Wallace, it's an attack on all of us. We must stand united against evil. Bring back the statue.
Here one day, seemingly gone the next. The St. Junipero Serra statue, an iconic site for 50 years, removed by Caltrans because it did not meet the current transportation art program requirements and was the frequent target of vandalism. It was also not eligible for the California Register of Historical Resources. Here one day, seemingly...
They said the government employees came with a wrecking ball and smashed it to pieces. They hate Christianity because their souls are black. Did they really destroy it? Huh. All right. Yep, Blue Jays going to the American League Championship Series. White House releases names of the people funding Antifa and the protests and the violence in America, according to Wall Street Apes. We paid for our own protests with over $100 million laundered by Democrats. We found a network of NGOs, George Soros, the Open Society Network, Arabella Funding Network, the Tides Fishing Network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Johann George Hansborg Weiss, a billionaire donor in Switzerland, in additional foreign cash. It's also big left-wing funders, some of them who are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Georg Wyss in Switzerland, they're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. We've identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding is flowed into these funding networks. They're stealing our own money to punch us in the face with. Eric Daughtry reports that the U.S. Senate has rejected a measure to stop President Trump and Pete Hegseth from unilaterally striking narco-terrorist boats coming through the Caribbean to poison and kill Americans, 48-51. Fetterman voted nay. Republicans Rand Paul and Lisa Murkowski voted yay. This is video reported to be in California. These people are just frozen zombie junkies. I mean, it's like out of a skit. Person's got their pants down, can't stand up. They're just frozen in place. High as a kite. Like, these people need to be brought to a facility to clean up. California just doesn't care.
Oh, nice to meet you. Is the dope better here?
Yeah. Whew, boy. This woman with a report from Dearborn, Michigan.
We're in Dearborn. This is the call of prayer that goes off 5 times a day here in the United States. Would you like to hear this blasting through your neighborhood?
No.
They don't have a choice of whether they hear this or not.
That has to cross codes. People are pretty fed up. Libs of TikTok says Kohl's is a major U.S. retail chain selling a multitude of woke LGB and more clothing on their online store, promoting made-up gender identity pronouns. Shirts cover adults, teens, and children. Another company pushing transgenderism and radical gender ideology on families. Elon is maybe suggesting that you try this out. Take an image, scan in an image of a document, a contract, any legal form you have to sign, dump it into Grok and ask it, read this for me and tell me what I should know before signing. Elon's saying try it. The Oregon National Guard commander calls into question his loyalty to the commander-in-chief. Take a listen to this.
Vice Chair Thatcher, Senator Meek. To answer your question, I don't want to speculate on what level of training they will be trained in or what they will be authorized to perform as far as rules for the use of force. The Title X headquarters will provide that training to them. It is my understanding, however, that protective crowd control will be one of the things they're trained upon, and I will provide my advice to the Title X commander that Oregon National Guard men and women they serve two purposes: one, to defend America, and two, to protect Oregonians. And so by serving in this mission, they will be protecting any protesters at the ICE facility. That's my desire. Now, to answer your question, full force is not a doctrinal term that the Army uses. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, and I don't want to speculate as to what level of force they will be allowed to use.
Thank you very much, General. Thank you, Chair Manning.
Thank you.
So even if he and his troops were federalized, they would still have a duty and a loyalty to the citizens of Oregon and still protect the Antifa insurgents protesting at Portland's ICE facility as they attack federal workers, vandalize federal property, and trespass. What if President Trump's orders required him to use force against Antifa insurgents who he believes he has a sworn duty to protect? It's all kind of coming out. Here's a bunch of Antifa mugshots. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois putting his foot in his mouth.
What's your message, final question, to the people here of the state of Illinois, the people of the city of Chicago, as this incursion by the federal government, these troops are on the streets of your state, of this city?
Incursion?
What do you want them to do? There's a big protest scheduled for 5:30 p.m. tonight.
Well, first, we've made sure that people know their rights and they know how to find out what their rights are, because we don't want them picked up off the streets just because they're brown or black, just because they happen to be undocumented and have committed no crimes. Remember, he said he was going.
Did you hear that? Committed no crime. Being here illegally is a crime.
Off the streets just because they're brown or black, just because they happen to be undocumented and have committed no crimes. Remember, he said he was going.
Being undocumented is exactly a crime.
Going after the worst of the worst. It's not going after the worst of the worst when you're just literally stopping children who happen to be brown and asking them for papers as if, you know, they're going to have proof that they're a U.S. citizen. So first, know your rights. Second, we want everybody to pull out their phones, an Android, an iPhone, whatever you've got, and film everything you see, because we take that to court. We also show it to the public. And it's one of the reasons that so many people are speaking up and acting up in order to fight Donald Trump, because they're seeing this is not the country that we grew up in. This is not the country that we want. And so,
yeah, we don't want a country invaded by illegal alien invaders with no plans to assimilate, with no vetting, no background checks. That's what your Democrats did, and the American people don't want that. So it's CBP home. Take the app, go back to where it was that you came from, and walk in at the port of entry. Try it again. The Democrats made a mockery of our national border sovereignty. We have every right to screen and filter out the worst of the worst that we do not want to be here.
that's very important. And then lastly, again, we got to take them to court. We got to win. It looks like we're going to do that.
For someone who has been threatened with arrest by the president.
And yeah, President Trump's administration has gone through the courts, and we know what the National Guard can be used for. And we know that the blue cities who are allowing the residents to be terrorized by criminality at a time where these cities have self-anointed themselves to be places thumbing their nose at the law, sanctuary cities, allowing illegal aliens to hang out. This is all stuff that the Democrats brought on themselves. It's all stuff that the Democrats caused. You can't blame the people who are cleaning up the mess. But J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats don't really have much going for them at this point.
The United States in the last 24 hours. It's nice to see you out here on the street with all these people, and I'm grateful for your time.
Appreciate you.
Want to talk to you. Okay, thank you. Governor J.B. Pritzker, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
What's your message?
Wow, what a sniveling ass kisser. Who is that guy? Joey Mugniat. Crazy scene on Spanish TV where 6 leftist journalists spend 10 minutes berating Ada Lutch for saying mass migration has made life unsafe. They told her she should visit a psychiatrist and should not be speaking publicly since she isn't a journalist. Present statistics. Then she did. And then they threw her off the entire program. Typical leftist behavior. If you can't beat them, just silence them.
Feliz, pero que él me haga feliz a mí. Es algo
Look at the body language. Former Canadian politician from Iran has a warning for America.
Iranian here with another pro tip for anyone who's not from the Middle East. No one in the Middle East actually blocks intersections to pray in the streets and yell Allahu Akbar. The reason that they do it in your countries is because they're trying to assert their religious dominance over you and claim your country and turn it into Sharia law. Now you know.
And knowing is half the battle. The White House posts, I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. Blessed are the peacemakers. President Donald Trump. All the hostages will be released very soon. Israel withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank mediators from Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers. He sure seems to be trying. And he wasn't here when it started. Palestinian children allegedly cheering and celebrating the ceasefire. And so they've lived this moment before. May it be permanent this time. Okay. White House says all the hostages are returning home.
They want to say something. Is that right? All right, hold on. President Trump, you have the best crowd in the world. What do you guys have to say to President Trump? Thank you. Thank you.
You did it!
You did it!
Thank
you!
Thank you!
This is amazing. Mr. President, we believe in you.
All
yourselves. The hostages will come back. They're all coming back on Monday.
Well, let's believe it when we see it. The peace president. All right. Piers Morgan says a huge moment for the Middle East, for the world, and for President Trump. All his haters keep howling that he's the new Hitler. He's delivering peace like he promised, and he deserves enormous credit for doing so. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India. We welcome the agreement on the first phase of President Trump's peace plan, also a reflection of the strong leadership of Prime Minister Netanyahu. We hope the release of hostages and enhanced humanitarian assistance to the people of Gaza will bring respite to them and pave the way for lasting peace. This allegedly shows footage showing Israeli tanks targeting Palestinians right now in Al Rashid Street in West Gaza area, central Gaza Strip. That was 7 hours ago. Pam Bondi says we're going to take the same approach with Antifa, destroy the entire organization like they did with the cartels from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Trump just classified anyone involved with Antifa in Canada and the rest of the world as being part of a terrorist group.
Are you going to work with your administration as the Secretary of State's here? Are you going to work with your administration to designate it a foreign terror organization?
You mean it a terror?
Antifa
Antifa?
a foreign terror organization.
Well, has that been done? Pretty close, right? Would you like to see it done?
Yes, Mr. President.
You think it would help?
They have foreign
I'd be
links
glad
all
to do
across
it. I
Western
think it's
Europe.
the kind of thing I'd like to do. If you'd like, does
Middle
everybody
East.
agree?
I'd
like to do.
If you agree, I agree. Let's get it done.
Agree, yeah.
Okay, let's get it done. Marco, we'll take care of it.
Mr. President.
That's international, you mean?
Yes.
International.
Mr. President.
Sounds good to me.
Foreign terror organization.
Steve, are you okay with it?
Yes, it's true. There are extensive foreign ties, and I think that would be a very valid step to take.
Good, I think so too.
Yes.
Good, I think it's a good point. Thank you.
Okay, good point. So the sidewalk encampment that Nick Sorter and Chad Caton tried to walk is being torn down, and Antifa is livid about it.
You guys think we won't grow again? This does nothing. This does nothing. Nothing. It's a waste of your money.
Does it do something, or does it do nothing?
Nothing.
Something?
This does nothing. This does nothing.
What about something?
Does nothing. Nothing.
Something or nothing?
This does nothing.
Something?
Nothing.
Something.
It's a waste of your money. Look at what you're doing. Do you feel anything? Everybody's screaming because they're fucking doing an illegal seizure. This stuff was donated by the community.
They're calling it an illegal seizure to clean up the sidewalks that are to be shared by all, not commandeered by some.
The community here paid money, all the food, all of the medical supplies, all
Put it on private property, pal.
of the PPE, all of the bedding, all of our power banks, everything. And this is illegal. They gave us no paperwork, no warning. They refused to give us paperwork. So we are going to document every one of you motherfuckers. Every one of you. Pieces of shit. Piece of shit.
Yeah, get the power washer out, clean up the sidewalks, clean up the encampments, get the people the help they need, help these blue cities already.
That's what y'all are. No, we're not homeless. This is the ICE detention facility from Live, the Music Portland Festival. And these mother effers kicked everybody out yesterday, said, no, we're not going to touch your camp. We're not going to do nothing. They refused to let us in to get any of our things. They refused for us to get medical supplies. They refused all of these things. So they are stealing private property with zero paperwork. They are
You don't get to put private property in the public and claim new land as your own. These are sidewalks to be shared, not blocked by you.
required to post notices. They are required to give us documentation of what they did, what they took, and where they will take it. This is all legally required.
Dismantling Antifa. Let's see. Democrat leaders are siding with domestic terrorists.
Well, look, I hate to say it,
Even
Sean,
more?
but Democrat leaders are siding with the domestic terrorists.
Over and over.
Antifa is waging, as I explained in that clip you played, daily violent assault against ICE officers. They are attempting to physically prevent ICE officers from doing their jobs, using every means imaginable, including, of course, as we saw just a few weeks ago, attempted murder. And then we saw a few days ago another attempted murder through a vehicle ramming attack. It is unceasing. Day after day, night after night, Antifa terrorists, as was explained to the event in the White House today, are trying to kill ICE officers, attack ICE officers, threaten their families, dox them, and do everything in their power to try to prevent Immigration and Customs Enforcement from getting violent criminal aliens out of this country. Now look at what happened by contrast in Washington, D.C. When President Trump's program was put in place, when local leadership embraced the Trump plan, the Trump program, what happened, Sean? It's never been more peaceful. People have never felt more free. As President Trump said on your show tonight, they're going out to restaurants, they're going to monuments, they're taking lovely strolls in the evening with their loved ones. The only people who have lost are the criminals, the gangbangers, the drug dealers, the criminally illegal aliens. The Trump plan has brought historic safety to one of the most violent cities on earth, Washington, D.C. That's what President Trump wants for Chicago. That's what he wants for Portland. That's what he wants for Los Angeles. And yet Democrats are on the side every night of the gangbangers, the predators, and now even the domestic terrorists.
Democrats taking the wrong side of things, per usual. Yep, Andrew No and Savannah Hernandez. Yeah, journalists getting beat up and the cities are allowing it. Enough is enough. You want to hear full-on Antifa denialist mode from CNN?
In fact, it's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, which have had national leaders, unlike Antifa. There is no organized hierarchy to the group. And according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, compared to right-wing extremists, Antifa-linked violence is rare and limited. But that has not stopped Trump from blaming Antifa for just about every act of violence in America since he first got into office. In fact, it's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys.
Yeah. Okay, here's Kaneko the Great showing us 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht arrested for allegedly sparking the devastating Palisades fire. The one that killed 12 people, wiped out 6,000 homes and buildings. Racked up a staggering $150 billion in damages. Authorities say Rinderknecht, who once lived in the area, deliberately ignited the blaze near a popular hiking trail in a state park hillside overlooking the neighborhood right about 12:12 a.m. He then fled the scene but called 911 to report the fire. According to the criminal complaint, after dropping off Uber passengers, he returned to the trail, filmed the inferno on his phone, and played a rap track by French artist Jasmine, whose music video shows him setting stuff on fire. Court documents reveal he'd been obsessively watching that same video in the days leading up to the arson. And get this, Rinderknecht used ChatGPT to generate a chilling dystopian image of a city in flames. His prompt? A dystopian painting divided into distinct parts that blends together seamlessly. On the far left, there is a burning forest. Next to it, a crowd of people running away from the fire, leading to the middle, per the complaint. Man. So the question is, was this guy involved with other people? I think that's likely. How many of these fires have been started by crazy? All right, what else do I want to share with you today? Dan Erickson says, so today a socialist mayor in Germany was stabbed and is fighting for her life. The media course was instant, saying Nazis are back, hate is rising, democracy is under attack. Then reality arrived. Her 15-year-old adopted black son was taken away in handcuffs. Earlier this year, police were called to the same address when her 17-year-old adopted daughter threatened her with a knife. This isn't a story about right-wing violence. It's a story about a society so obsessed with its own moral performance that it can't even see the blade coming from within its own narrative. Wow. I'm not familiar with the story. Kid Rock was right. The FTC and Department of Justice just hit Ticketmaster after an investigation exposed decades of price fixing, scalping, and ripping off fans and artists. The biggest monopoly in music might finally face justice. It's about damn time.
Some of the people in the business talk about ticketing, that when President Trump did that executive order with me in the Oval Office, that these know-it-alls out in California were like, oh, they're just showboating. really did nothing. What he did was he ordered the FTC and the Department of Justice to go investigate, see what the hell's going on with ticketing. Well, guess what? They investigated. And what happened? They filed a fucking lawsuit against Ticketmaster. Because clearly they found out that those motherfuckers are crooks, and they've been crooks for decades, fucking over the public, fucking over artists. Some of the people in the business talk about ticketing.
FTC sues Ticketmaster in Live Nation. Take a look.
Ticketing in this country has gotten out of control, and credit for this goes to President Trump. He's understood this for a long time. Americans are sick of having to fork over an arm and a leg to take their family to a baseball game or to see their favorite show, their favorite musician, whatever it is. And he issued an EO in March that told the federal government and the FTC in particular, do something about this. Use your legal authorities to try to help Americans be able to do this thing that we love. That's a huge part of our culture, which is going to live sporting events and live shows. So we filed this suit today against Ticketmaster, and we've got three things that we're saying have been going on. The first is that Ticketmaster has not been honest about its pricing, that it's posting prices on its website and then jacking up some fees after you move through the purchase flow, and that violates the FTC Act. The second thing is that we say that they have been misrepresenting, being totally deceitful about how many tickets are actually available for purchase on the primary market. I mean, look, we all know when you log on to try to get tickets to a football game or tickets to a concert, it says that there are a certain number of tickets available, but it never seems like there are that many available. And that's because brokers have been coming in and buying up huge swaths of them. Ticketmaster has known this all along, but it's still posting those ticket numbers on their website. That's deception. That's not allowed under federal law. And then the third and the most important is we've got this law called the Better Online Ticket Sales Act. And the point of this law was Congress recognizing that brokers were using methods to get around ticket limit controls, buy up tons of tickets, and then sell them for massive profits on the secondary market. And what we found in our investigation is evidence that Ticketmaster knew this was happening and let it happen because a lot of these sales were then going to Ticketmaster's secondary ticketing platform. And that means that
they're making money coming and going on this scam. I've hated Ticketmaster. What is the damn point of what service do you provide? Give me a break. Once you load in the schematics for how many tickets are going to be sold in which area, your work is done.
Ticketmaster and these brokers got to pocket profits that should have belonged, to the concert, to whoever the musician is who's putting on the show.
Okay.
But generally, our musicians lower their prices so that their fans can get in. And that means that on these secondary markets, brokers and the secondary markets like Ticketmaster got to pocket those profits. It's totally unfair. It's totally wrong. It's also illegal. That's why we're in court.
I think they're going down if they can prove half of that. So good on Trump, good on Kid Rock. Take him down. That's music to Trash Panda's ears. C3 says, no mercy for Joe Biden. The terminal cancer diagnosis was a scam. I don't believe a word of it. He's out giving speeches, enjoying baseball games. He needs to be held accountable for his crimes. I'm sick of watching criminals destroy America and just get away with it. Well, I don't know if it was a scam or not. I get that you don't believe a word of it. How could you believe a word of anything he says? And no, he should not be out enjoying himself. He should be indicted for his criminality. Milo asks, what kind of person electroshocks a dog into submission so she stays in the same tiny space for hours on end just so they can look like a normal, relatable person with pets on an internet live stream? The more you think about it, the darker it gets. Libs of TikTok says, Matt Chapman reportedly works as a teacher and a coach in Illinois and appears to be wearing an Abolish ICE shirt at school. He's pushing anti-ICE propaganda on students. Probably not great. You want to see Nancy Pelosi realizing she has no narrative with the government shutdown?
I understand what you're saying about where the differences are, and they are very big. They are voting yes on what we say here in Washington, a clean.
And by the way, no wonder that you can't afford to take people to concerts and games. Yeah, it's disgusting. I'm all for people making money, but just the artificial inflation, the tricks and schemes, I'm so over it. I mean, the cost. Yeah, $240 for a decent ticket for a football game. It's like $240 for an okay ticket. What are we doing here? I mean, you know, you let the free market determine things, but this is the opposite of the free market. It's a lot of scamming. Anyway, Pelosi here can't answer this question about the clean continuing resolution to just keep things as they are so we can work out the bigger concepts.
On what we say here in Washington, a clean CR, a bill to keep the government running for 7 weeks, and Democrats are voting no, and for the reasons you just said. So how are they shutting down the government?
First of all, it isn't a clean CR.
Okay.
So let's not stipulate to that. It's not a clean CR.
What do they have in
it's
it?
going into that. The point is,
just, I mean,
it is a clean CR. Herschel Walker confirmed by the Senate to be U.S. ambassador to the Bahamas, first confirmed ambassador to the Bahamas since 2011. Axl Rose brandishes a Palestinian flag on stage during a Bogota, Colombia concert. I don't need your civil war. Okay. I mean, they're the ones that started the war. What do you want? Matt Van Swell reporting a teaching assistant in North Carolina charged with allegedly strangling and beating a 5-year-old child with autism as he was about to get on a bus to go home. Regina Gray is currently out of prison on bond. That doesn't sound good at all. Japan elected its first female prime minister, highly respected. I think there's a Shinzo Abe component to this story. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you today. Yes, term limits indeed. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here on the TNAM Daily Show while we unpacked the news. The news you can use. Thank you all for being here. Please hit like, hit subscribe. You can do memberships on YouTube, super chats on YouTube, Patreon, what is it? Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, all that stuff. John said I should probably check out the post. All right, I shall check out the post. I shall check out the post. If anyone wants a mug, let me know. I got 16 of these. 16 mugs if you want one. $40 donation, and I will ship one out to you. That includes shipping, which is probably about $10, $12, depending on where you're at. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back tomorrow. What day is today? Thursday. We got football tonight. Jeez, I got to set my fantasy football lineups. Everything moves so fast. But it's okay. We're here together. We're unpacking it together, making sense of this ever-changing world. So until then, I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.